The Detroit Lions fell short of their Super Bowl dreams, but a sight for sore eyes this week when star Jayden Hutchinson was back working out almost 4 months after suffering a broken tibia and fibula, which ended his season in mid-October. Hutchinson acknowledged the significant changes upcoming in the coaching staff, certainly an expected byproduct of the Lions' success. But he said, as long as we have the right guys in the locker room, you can roll anyone in there and call the plays. For more on that, here's Lions reporter Eric Woodyard.
In the aftermath of their shocking home loss as the NFC's #1 seed to the Commanders, Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell's star-studded coaching staff took a major hit. Former defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn is now the head coach of the New York Jets and hired away passing game coordinator Tanner Engstrand. Former offensive coordinator Ben Johnson is now the head coach of the Chicago Bears, taking with him receivers coach Antoine Randall and quarterback assistant coach J.T. Barrett. Oh, and former defensive line coach Terrell Williams has also accepted a defensive coordinator position for the New England Patriots. But even with all those changes, Lions general manager Brad Holmes remains confident that Detroit's championship window hasn't closed just yet. Why? Because they still have Dan Campbell and the foundation set to make another strong run next season.
I just think that all the pieces are in place, that I don't really feel walls closing in.
For offensive coordinator, the Lions brought back former assistant John Morton, who was the Broncos' pass coordinator for the previous 2 seasons, while Campbell maintained continuity by promoting former linebackers coach Kelvin Shepard to replace Glenn as the new defensive coordinator.
Wow, that's a whole lot of changes as we open up the Fowler Files with senior NFL writer Jeremy Fowler and NFL analyst Mike Tannenbaum, who has a folder in the. I hope you're charging him for that folder in your files.
$9.99.
There you go, and make him pay for it too early. Okay, Jeremy, starting with you, what's one area the Lions could be looking to address this offseason?
Well, edge rusher Jay is on their radar. They were really depleted there last year. They traded for Zadarius Smith, who's got $11 million on the books in 2025. They have to decide on his future, but they certainly could look for reinforcements either in the draft, free agency, or a splash trade. This is a pass rush explosion league-wide. You got guys like Myles Garrett wanting a trade. You know, could Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson be moved? Those are big names that need new contracts. Eventually, they're going to be really big. So will the Lions try to make some sort of move like that? It would probably require multiple first-round picks to get a top talent like a Myles Garrett, who is a hard no from the Cleveland Browns, by the way. They still have no plans to trade him. So we'll see how far they go, but they're going to address that position in some form. Also, Kevin Zeitler, their guard, free agent. There's mutual interest in bringing him back.
All right, I know you said Cleveland said no, but we're going to talk about Myles Garrett because, Mike, I want you to listen to what Jayden Hutchinson had to say about the possibility of the Lions trading for Garrett.
We were just talking about what could be, you know, and although it's probably unlikely, I think I would be thrilled to play next to him if it were to happen. But our whole D-line would be totally elevated. That'd be a scary defensive line. And we get along, too. I think I've seen him these last few years at different things. He texted me after I got hurt, which, I don't know, it was just a cool thing. Like, guys outside of your own team who reach out to you, I think. So I think he's a good dude. And if he does, great. But I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. But that would be awesome.
And that's the cool part about the brotherhood. It really is. Okay, Mike, Aiden's like, you know, it's not that much of a possibility. Jeremy's already said the Browns have said no. How realistic is Myles Garrett to Detroit, in your opinion?
Well, initially, maybe not, Jay, but if at some point Cleveland believes that Myles Garrett would retire, not go back, then it becomes very realistic because I really believe Detroit is in the one-player away sort of window right now to try to go win. And if I'm Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions, I get the Browns on the phone and I don't hang up. I am not negotiating. I am paying the bill because if you have Zadarius Smith, a healthy Jayden Hutchinson, and a Hall of Famer in Myles Garrett, all of a sudden your pass rush goes from a question mark to a strength with a very potent offense. So if I'm Detroit, I am hanging around the rim and doing everything within reason and then some to try to make this happen. But again, it all starts with, does Cleveland at some point believe that Myles Garrett would retire and not play? And sometimes you just have to be patient to let that play out.
Definitely a situation to keep an eye on. Okay, staying in the NFC North, talking about the Vikings right now. Sam Darnold likely to become a free agent. Minnesota also has J.J. McCarthy returning from injury. Yep. Jeremy, what are you hearing about the Vikings' approach at quarterback this offseason?
Yeah, to use Mike T's phrase, which I love, the Vikings are hanging around the rim with Sam Darnold. They're weighing the option potentially. I'm told that they are open to him coming back on a new deal. You know, talking to people around the league with other teams, they are skeptical that the Vikings would go the franchise tag route right now because you're looking at close to $40 million on a one-year deal, which maybe that could facilitate a tag and trade, but that's high coin for a player that is going to get a nice, robust market, but maybe not that high. So we'll see how that shakes out. But all options are on the table for Minnesota. But what was clear to me is that J.J. McCarthy will be the franchise quarterback. They have no plans to trade him. It just depends on whether that's 6 months from now, 12 months, 18 months. And watch for Daniel Jones. He was on the roster last year. He'd be a cheaper alternative to Sam Darnold. Could be some interest there to bring him back.
Okay, Mike, if you're the Vikings, how would you approach this quarterback situation?
Jay, sign Sam Darnold. I know the last 2 games didn't go great. That's been well documented. But what a season he had with Kevin O'Connell. And when you have a young, productive quarterback, do not let them leave. Look, they may have to overpay, to Jeremy's point, because the franchise tag is always, a tough challenge around quarterback negotiations. But if you're coming out of this and we're sitting here in August with 2 great young quarterbacks and Sam Darnold and the potential J.J. McCarthy, that's a great position to be in. 1, you can't have enough depth. And then 2, maybe somebody makes you an offer you can't refuse for McCarthy. So to me, a position of strength at the quarterback position is a great place to start the offseason if you're the Vikings.
All right. The NFL is 24/7, 365. Mike, Jeremy, thank you so much. Hannah?
Make licensure your New Year's resolution. Save 15% on PPI's proven exam prep and move your career forward in 2025. Start at ppi2pass.com.
Pack it, store it, ship it. If you need a box, Grainger has it. With over 1,700 types of boxes in stock, you'll find all the shapes and sizes you're looking for. And you can count on Grainger to deliver your boxes fast. Call or click Grainger.com today.
After a 6-11 finish to the 2024 season, the San Francisco 49ers have already made significant changes to the coaching staff, with more coming to the roster. So what does that mean for the Niners and Brock Purdy? Nick Wagner unpacking the interesting set of contract decisions San Francisco must make this offseason to get back on the road to contender status.
After failing to make the playoffs for the first time since 2020, the 49ers head into a pivotal offseason where quarterback Brock Purdy's contract extension remains the first order of business.
What we know about Brock is that he's our guy.
I plan on being with Brock here the whole time I'm here, and I know he's capable of getting the Niners Super Bowl in the future.
What a play by Brock Purdy.
Purdy has said he'd like to get something done sooner than later so he can be back with his guys in time for the offseason program in April. The size of his deal could determine just how many of those guys return. General Manager John Lynch has already said the team will release defensive tackle Javon Hargrave with the post-June 1st designation to create salary cap room. Receiver Deebo Samuel has requested a trade and also looks to be on the way out. What's more, contract adjustments for the likes of tight end George Kittle and linebacker Fred Warner could create additional financial space. And the 49ers have about 24 unrestricted free agents, many of whom they'd like to keep. Purdy says he doesn't want any kind of drama associated with anything and that he wants to help the team with other players who need deals. However, that doesn't mean he will offer a substantial hometown discount.
As we stay tuned on that, we now open up the Fowler Files with senior NFL writer Jeremy Fowler, and apparently NFL analyst Mike Tannenbaum has a folder within the files, so he will be joining us as well. Let's talk Deebo. What are you hearing?
So Deebo Samuel, I'm told from a source that there have been several teams that have some preliminary interest. Now, where that goes is still uncertain. Those teams could try to wait out the 49ers, see if they eventually release him. The key is the option bonus, about $15 million due to him on March